When leaders make unpredictable decisions, it does not just create confusion, it breaks trust. And trust is that invaluable fuel that every organization runs on. Recently, our Defense Secretary made headlines for declining to advance an entire slate of nominees for one-star admirable positions in the Navy. One of his stated reasons about not advancing that slate was essentially about cleaning house of what he described as foolish, reckless, and woke leaders. The U.S. military is one of the most historic organizations in the world, defined by tradition and rules. According to the New York Times, to remove an officer from a promotion list, the Defense Secretary is supposed to do so based on moral, mental, physical, or professional failings. So far, we've only been offered that these names were removed from the promotion list to correct for years of gender and demographic engineering. I'll come back to this in a moment, specifically when I address what happens when people do not have enough information about major decisions. I want to be clear. This video is not about politics. It is about people. Because when a decision like this drops without clarity, context, or communication, the ripple effects are enormous inside of any organization and land on your people. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever had someone make a decision about your career without warning? Maybe you were reassigned. Maybe you were laid off. Maybe you were relocated. Or maybe you found out about a major organizational change at the exact same time as everyone else. Remember how that felt? The uncertainty, the frustration, the sense of being left out of your own story. That is what unpredictability does. It erodes psychological safety, and it makes people question whether or not there's fairness. And once trust is gone, performance, morale, and retention go with it. So let's talk about what leaders can do differently. Here are 3 ways leaders can prevent trust from collapsing when tough decisions have to be made. Number 1, explain your why behind the decision. Silence creates a vacuum, and people will fill that vacuum with fear, assumptions, and worst-case scenarios. When leaders do not explain the reasoning behind a decision, employees are left wondering and wandering. A simple, honest explanation can prevent months of confusion. Let me show you how this plays out in the promotion situation. Let us say the officers who were removed from the Navy's promotional list had professional failings related to their DEI work. As I understand it, one officer was a woman who was slated for a promotion and served as a diversity liaison 20 years ago. Without any explanation from leadership, people inside and outside the military are now asking, was there an investigation into how this officer recruited? Did this officer engage in preferential hiring during that assignment? What impact did her work have on the military's ability to recruit service members who met the mission? Is this the same military that I once served? And on and on. Do you see how quickly those questions emerge and how fast we start filling in the answers ourselves? That speculation is a predictable human response to leadership vacuums. Once again, I am not taking a political position. I'm using this breaking news story as an example of what happens when leaders are unpredictable and fail to communicate. Number 2, communicate with empathy. Before you send an email or make an announcement, ask yourself, how will this land for the people affected? How would I feel receiving this news delivered this way? Empathy does not change the decision, but it changes how people experience it, and that difference matters enormously for what comes next. And number 3, be consistent whenever possible. People can handle tough news. What they cannot handle is unpredictability. Consistency signals fairness. It tells your team that decisions are not arbitrary, personal, or political. They're principled. And principled decisions, even hard ones, preserve trust. One of the most striking pieces about this news story is the response from those who once served in the military. As I mentioned earlier, the military is about tradition and serving from one generation to another, and that's a part of the tradition. It is shocking and sad to hear service members question whether they would encourage their loved ones to join the military, as it is today. Leadership is not just about making decisions. It is about how those decisions make people feel. When leaders communicate clearly, act with empathy, and stay consistent, trust becomes the foundation of change, not the casualty of it. If you want more guidance on building trust, strengthening culture, or navigating through tough leadership moments, take my employment risk assessment, which can be found at questei.org. Remember, while I'm an attorney, I am not your attorney. Everything that I've shared today is for educational purposes and does not constitute legal advice.